The faint click of heels scraping against the sidewalk dragged me from a shallow, uneasy sleep. I blinked at the clock. 6:17 a.m. My stomach twisted. Claire had left nearly 12 hours ago, dressed to kill in a sleek emerald dress, and those crimson heels she adored. She'd barely acknowledged me before walking out, brushing off my concerns about the so-called girls' night at her best friend Lauren's place. "I just need some time out," she'd said sharply. "You're overreacting. It's just us girls catching up. Don't be so controlling." Her words had stung more than I let on. Still, I'd voiced my doubts. We needed time together, not more distance. Things had been strained between us for weeks, and spending a night with Lauren, the undisputed queen of impulsive disasters, didn't feel like the solution. Claire ignored me, brushed past, and slammed the door. Now, as I stood by the window watching her approach the house, I felt a cold dread settle in my chest. The woman I kissed goodbye last night had been confident, radiant, composed. The woman stumbling up the driveway now, a stranger. Her dress was wrinkled, hanging off one shoulder, her makeup smeared into shadowy streaks under her eyes. Hair that was once styled to perfection now drooped messily over her face. She clutched her heels in one hand and stared down at her phone in the other, as if the answers to every question lay somewhere on the screen. I opened the door just as she reached it. She didn't even look up. "Morning," she muttered, her voice raw and hoarse, like she'd spent the night screaming or crying. "Morning," I said, my tone cold. "Where were you?" "Lauren's," she shot back quickly, too quickly. It was her go-to excuse, one that had fooled me once. "Lauren's, huh?" I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorframe, blocking her path. "All night?" "Yes," she snapped, finally meeting my eyes. They were bloodshot, and her hands trembled slightly. "Can I come in? Or are you planning to interrogate me out here?" I stepped aside silently. She brushed past me and collapsed onto the couch like a marionette whose strings had been cut, burying her face in her hands. The silence that followed was heavy and suffocating. "You look terrible," I said finally, not as an insult, but as a fact. She flinched but stayed silent. "Claire," I said firmly, "what happened last night? And why didn't you answer your phone?" "It died," she mumbled through her hands. "Convenient," I muttered. She shot me a glare, weak, without her usual spark. "I don't want to do this right now. I'm exhausted, Ethan. Can we talk later?" "Fine," I said, pushing off the wall. "We'll talk later. But I'm not stupid. If something happened, you should tell me now." Her head snapped up for a second, like she was about to confess, then hardened. "There's nothing to tell." "All right," I said coolly. "Go get some sleep. We'll talk later." I watched her sway slightly as she climbed the stairs. The moment the bedroom door closed, I pulled out my phone and opened Instagram. If Claire had truly been at Lauren's all night, there'd be proof. Lauren documented everything. Selfies, videos, boomerangs. Sure enough, there were new stories from the party. The first showed Lauren grinning in front of a drink-covered table. Ladies' night, no drama. Then a room full of laughing women. Claire wasn't in any of them. Next, Lauren dancing with a stranger, posted just after midnight. Again, no Claire. Then came the third clip, blurry, chaotic, but in the corner of the frame, there she was. Claire. She wasn't laughing or dancing. She was standing close, too close, to a man I didn't recognize. Her body tilted toward him. Her hand brushed his arm. The video ended, but my blood was already boiling. Who the hell was he? And why was she acting like that? I scrolled through the rest. Nothing. No more evidence. I tossed my phone on the coffee table and rubbed my temples. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe he was a friend. But if that were true, why the guilt? Why the defensiveness? I decided to call Lauren. It rang a few times before she answered, groggy. Ethan. What's up? Hey, Lauren, I said as casually as possible. Just checking in. Claire said she was at your place. Everything okay? A pause. Too long. Yeah, she was here. Why? She came home looking rough, I said carefully. Acting strange. Did you notice anything? Another pause. No, she was fine. Maybe she just drank too much. You know how she is. I didn't believe a word. Right. Well, thanks, I said. Sure, she replied, but her voice was strained. She was lying. I didn't know why, but she was. I needed more. Claire's phone. She'd left it charging in the kitchen. I hated the idea of snooping, but I needed to know. The phone was locked. Same passcode as always. I hesitated, then typed it in. Unlocked. Her messages were mostly ordinary, friends, family. But one thread stood out. A name I didn't recognize. Adam. Adam. Can't wait to see you tonight. You'll look stunning. Claire. Stop. You'll make me blush. Adam. Meet me outside around 11. We'll have more fun away from the crowd. Claire. Perfect. Don't be late. The breath caught in my throat. She'd planned to meet him. She'd lied. My hands trembled as I set the phone down. Confronting her now would be pointless. I needed to be smarter. The house was quiet. My thoughts were not. I heard her footsteps hours later. Noon. She looked slightly better. Hair tied back, makeup gone. But she still avoided my eyes. Morning, she muttered, grabbing a mug. Afternoon, I said flatly. We stood in silence for a long time before I spoke. Care to explain what happened last night? I told you. I was at Lauren's. And Adam? I asked, dropping the name like a grenade. Her head snapped up, eyes wide with panic. What are you talking about? You know exactly what I mean, Claire. Who is Adam? And why were you sneaking around with him at a party that was supposed to be just girls? Her lips parted, but no sound came. I saw the texts, I said. Don't even think about lying. Her face drained of color. The mug shook in her hand. Ethan, I can explain. I'm listening, I said, though patience was slipping from my voice. Adam is just a friend, she began shakily. Someone from work. He was at the party and we just... Stop, I snapped. Friends don't make secret plans to sneak off together. Try again. It wasn't like that, she said, frustrated. We were just talking. Things between us have been tense, and you're always... Always what? I shouted. Working to pay bills? Trying to keep this marriage together while you're sneaking around? I didn't do anything, she yelled, slamming the counter. You're acting like I slept with him. The words hung in the air like poison. So you didn't? I asked quietly. But you thought about it, didn't you? Her silence said everything. I felt my chest cave in, anger and heartbreak colliding. 6 years of marriage, Claire, and this is how you repay me? It wasn't like that, she whispered, tears welling. I was drunk. I wasn't thinking. Save it, I said coldly. If it meant nothing, why lie? She couldn't answer. I stared at her, waiting for honesty that never came. I need air, I muttered, walking toward the door. Ethan, please, she cried. Don't go. But I did. I walked for hours, the betrayal gnawing deeper with each step. When I returned, Claire was curled up on the couch, tear-streaked and silent. Are you ready to talk? She asked softly. I pulled a chair across from her. I want the truth, all of it. Who is Adam, and what really happened? She swallowed hard. Adam's a coworker. He's been flirting with me for months. I never thought anything of it until what? I pressed. Until things between us got strained, she whispered. You've been distant, stressed. I felt like I didn't matter anymore. And Adam, he noticed. Don't you dare finish that sentence, I snapped. You threw everything away for attention? "It wasn't like that," she cried. "I didn't plan this. I drank too much. When he showed up, we talked. One thing led to another, and what?" I demanded. "We kissed," she admitted. "But that's all. I swear." I stared at her, searching for any trace of truth in her tear-streaked face. A part of me desperately wanted to believe her, that it had stopped at a kiss, that the betrayal hadn't gone any further. But the other part, the one that had read their texts and seen how guilty she looked walking through the door, was screaming that there was more to the story. "And you expect me to believe that's where it ended?" I asked quietly. "That nothing else happened after you two planned to sneak away from everyone?" Her eyes widened. "I didn't sneak off," she insisted. "I told him it was a mistake and walked away. I swear, Ethan, I ended it before it could go any further." "Convenient," I muttered bitterly. "You ended it because you got caught, didn't you?" Claire broke into sobs, but for the first time I didn't feel the urge to comfort her. I turned and walked into the kitchen, needing a moment to breathe, to think, to process the hurricane tearing through my chest. But her words, and her lies, kept echoing. I grabbed her phone again, scrolling through the messages with Adam. Most of it was what I'd already read, but one new text caught my eye, sent hours after she came home. "Last night was unforgettable. Wish we had more time together." My pulse spiked. I stormed back into the living room, holding the phone out in front of her. "Explain this." Her face drained of color. For a second, I thought she might faint. "Ethan, Save it," I snapped, cutting her off. "I'm done with the lies. If you want to fix this, you start by telling me the truth. All of it. Because right now, Claire, you're losing me." The words hung in the air like a death sentence, and for the first time, I saw something in her eyes that looked like real fear. But I couldn't tell if it was fear of losing me or fear of being exposed. "I'm waiting," I said, my voice razor-sharp. "Tell me the truth, or do I call Adam myself?" Her head jerked up, panic flashing across her face. "No, don't call him, please, Ethan." "Then start talking," I demanded, "because that text doesn't sound like a mistake." She buried her face in her hands, sobbing uncontrollably now. For a brief moment, I almost felt sorry for her, but the memory of that message, of all the lies, snuffed any sympathy out cold. "I didn't plan this," she finally choked out, her voice trembling. "I swear, I wasn't looking for anything. But Adam, he kept pushing. He said all the right things. He made me feel like I wasn't invisible anymore. And last night—" "Stop blaming me for your choices," I interrupted, my voice rising again. "You felt invisible? And that's your excuse for sneaking around with another man?" "I'm not blaming you," she shouted, looking up at me with tear-streaked cheeks. "I'm blaming myself. I know I messed up. I know I betrayed you. But it wasn't supposed to go this far." "Define this far," I said icily. "What exactly happened after you kissed him? Did you go somewhere together? Did you sleep with him?" Her shoulders sagged. She exhaled a shaky breath. "No," she whispered. "We didn't sleep together. I swear. We kissed, and he wanted more. But I couldn't do it. I told him it was wrong, and I left. That's the truth." I studied her face. She looked sincere. But then again, she'd been lying to me for weeks. Trusting her now felt impossible. "And the text?" I asked, waving the phone. "If it was such a mistake, why is he saying it was unforgettable? Why didn't you block him the moment you came home?" She bit her lip. "I don't know," she whispered. Maybe he thought it meant more than it did. I didn't reply. I didn't want to make things worse. Her answer was weak, but I had no proof to tear it apart. My chest tightened as the reality sank in. Whether or not she was telling me everything, one fact remained. She'd crossed a line, and our marriage would never be the same. "I can't do this right now," I said, turning away. "I need time to think." "Ethan, please," she sobbed. "Don't walk away. I'll do anything. I'll cut him off. I'll go to counseling. Anything. Just don't give up on us." I didn't respond. I grabbed my keys and walked out the door, leaving her crying on the couch. I drove aimlessly for hours. The betrayal was one thing. The lies, layered and relentless, were what truly broke me. How could someone I trusted with everything betray me so completely? By the time I stopped the car, the sun was dipping below the horizon, painting the neighborhood in long orange shadows. I wasn't ready to go home. I ducked into a diner, ordered black coffee, and sat by the window, staring blankly at the street outside. That's when an idea started forming. A way to make Claire truly understand what she had done, without stooping to her level. When I finally returned home, it was late. The house was dark, but I knew she was awake. I could hear faint movements upstairs. For a moment, I considered sleeping on the couch, avoiding her completely. But no, this needed to be addressed now. She was sitting on the edge of the bed when I walked in, her face pale and streaked with dried tears. She looked up at me, guilt and desperation clouding her eyes. "I thought you weren't coming back," she whispered. "I almost didn't," I replied evenly. "But I've been thinking. About us. About everything." Hope flickered faintly across her face. "I've decided I'm not going to scream or throw things," I said. "That's not who I am. But I also can't pretend everything is fine. You made your choices, and now I'm making mine." "What does that mean?" she asked, voice trembling. "It means I'm stepping back," I said firmly. "You want to fix this? Fine. Prove it. You'll cut Adam out of your life completely. You'll go to counseling, and you will be the one to rebuild the trust you destroyed. But don't expect me to chase you." Her face crumpled, fresh tears spilling down. "I'll do whatever it takes. I'll delete his number. I'll go to counseling. Anything. Please don't give up on us." "We'll see," I said coldly. "Actions speak louder than words." The next morning, while Claire still slept, I started putting my plan into motion. I wasn't after revenge in the usual sense. No yelling, no dramatic scenes. I just wanted her to feel the weight of her choices. First, I called Lauren and thanked her for telling me the truth, or at least part of it. Then, I sent Adam a message. "Adam, this is Ethan. I know everything. Stay out of my wife's life. Consider this your one warning." His reply was predictable. Silence. People like him always folded when faced with consequences. Next, I booked an appointment with a marriage counselor. Not for us, but for me. If Claire wanted to join later, that would be her choice. I wasn't waiting around for her to decide if I was worth the effort. My focus now was healing, whether that meant repairing the marriage or walking away from it. When Claire came downstairs, she looked like she was bracing for another fight, but I was calm, controlled. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, sliding a printed appointment confirmation across the table. "You're going to this, with or without me. If you skip it, we're done." She nodded shakily. "I'll go. I promise." "Good," I said. "Because right now, Claire, I don't trust you. And if you want this marriage to survive, you're going to have to earn that trust back." Her tears returned, but I didn't comfort her. I grabbed my keys and left, leaving her alone with the consequences of her actions. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt a flicker of clarity. I wasn't going to let her betrayal define me. Whether we stayed together or not, I knew one thing. I deserved better. And now, it was up to Claire to prove she could be that better person. Or, let me go for good. My phone buzzed while I was out, the vibration cutting through the low hum of the diner. A message lit the screen. "Lauren, can we talk? I think you should know something about last night." A cold, steady thud began in my chest. I took a breath and typed. Me. I'm listening. What do you need to tell me? Her reply came fast. Lauren. Not over text. Can you meet me? It's important. I agreed. We settled on a quiet coffee shop at the edge of town. The drive felt endless, the streetlights smearing into tired streaks as worst-case scenarios looped in my head. What if Claire had lied about everything? What if the just a kiss story was just the surface? Lauren was already there, tucked into a corner, stirring tea like it was a nervous tick. She looked up, guilt plastered across her face. Thanks for coming, she said softly, nodding to the empty chair. Just tell me, I said. My voice came out flatter than I expected. No small talk. She winced, then nodded again. Okay. I wasn't going to get involved, but after last night, I can't just keep quiet. I leaned forward. Go on. She inhaled. Adam wasn't supposed to be at the party. I didn't invite him. The words landed like a punch. What are you saying? I asked carefully. Claire invited him, she said, fingers tightening around the cup. She told me not to mention it. She said you'd take it the wrong way. But, Ethan, they weren't just talking. They were all over each other at one point. And then they went outside together for almost an hour. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. What happened outside? I don't know, she said quickly. I didn't follow them. When they came back in, things were tense. They were avoiding each other. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I didn't want to get in the middle. But when I saw how wrecked you looked this morning, you deserve the truth. I stood. The chair's legs scraped the floor, loud in the quiet room. Thank you, I said. I appreciate it. Ethan, please don't do anything rash, she called after me. I think she regrets it. Maybe you two can work through. But I was already moving, anger burning a clean line through the fog. When I got home, Claire was at the kitchen table, head in her hands. She looked up, eyes raw. Ethan, Save it, I said. I talked to Lauren. She went pale. What did she say? She said you invited Adam. She said you were all over him. And that the two of you disappeared outside for almost an hour. Care to explain? Her lip trembled. For a heartbeat, she looked ready to lie again. Then her shoulders sagged. It's true, she whispered. I invited him. I don't know what I thought. I wanted to feel something again. And outside, I said, my voice rising. Don't lie to me. Tears welled and spilled. We kissed again. He wanted more, but I stopped it. I swear, Ethan, that's all. Do you really expect me to believe that? I snapped. After the lies, after everything I found on your phone? She broke into sobs. Because it's the truth this time. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm asking you to hear me. I didn't sleep with him. I couldn't do that to you. The words hung between us like a frayed wire. Maybe true, maybe not. Either way, the damage had been done. I need space, I said finally, voice cold. Don't follow me. Don't call me. Just leave me alone. I walked out. I drove, street after street, block after block, until anger thinned into a hard, practical resolve. The betrayal, the layered lies, they had redefined the ground beneath my feet. I couldn't fix what she had broken, but I could choose how I stood on it. By the time I rolled back into the driveway, I knew what I would do. Upstairs, Claire sat on the edge of the bed, small, exhausted, eyes red. I thought you weren't coming back, she said. I almost didn't, I said evenly. But I've been thinking. Hope flickered in her face. I'm not going to scream, I said. I'm not going to throw your phone. That's not me. But I won't pretend everything's fine either. You made your choices. Now, I'm making mine. What does that mean? It means I'm stepping back. You want to fix this? Prove it. Cut Adam out completely. Go to counseling. You rebuild the trust you broke. Don't expect me to chase you." She crumpled. "I'll do whatever it takes. I'll delete his number. I'll go to counseling. Please, Ethan, don't give up on us." "We'll see," I said. "Actions, not promises." The next morning, while she slept, I put it all in motion. I sent Adam one message. Simple, unambiguous. "This is Ethan. I know what happened. Stay away from my wife. This is your only warning." Predictably, no response. Silence. The bravado evaporated the second accountability entered the room. Then I booked a counseling appointment. For me. If Claire wanted to join, she could. I wasn't going to wait for her to decide whether I mattered. When she came downstairs, I slid a printout across the table. "You're going to this," I said. "With or without me. If you skip it, we're done." She clutched the paper with trembling hands. "I'll go, I promise." "Good. Because right now, I don't trust you. If you want this marriage to survive, you'll have to earn that back, inch by inch." Tears welled again. I didn't offer comfort. I picked up my keys and left her alone with the consequences. Hours later, my phone buzzed again as I sat parked by the river, windows cracked to the cool air. A new message lit the screen. "Adam. Seen. Nothing else. Fine. Let that silence stretch into forever." I scrolled, almost against my own will, back through Lauren's stories from the night before. In the blur and noise and glitter, I spotted something I had missed. The tiniest mid-frame glimpse of the patio door. A dark silhouette. 2 figures stepping out. Claire's profile, his hand hovering near the small of her back. A flash of red heel in motion before the door slid shut. It wasn't proof of anything beyond what had already been said, but it was enough to keep my resolve from softening, enough to remember that nothing had made her do this. Not stress, not feeling overlooked, not me. That evening, I returned home. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that exists after a storm has stripped the leaves from the trees. Claire was in the living room, a box of tissues on the coffee table, her phone face down beside it. "I deleted his number," she said without preamble. "Blocked his accounts. I sent Lauren an apology for dragging her into this. I don't know what else to do." "Do the work," I said. "Show up. Be honest. Tell me the truth before I have to find it somewhere else." She nodded, swallowing hard. "Okay." We existed like that for a while. 2 people moving carefully through a shattered room, trying not to cut ourselves on the glass. I slept in the guest room. She didn't ask me to stay. I gave short, direct answers. She didn't press for more. We went to the appointment. She spoke first. I watched. I measured. I kept my distance, a boundary drawn in clean, straight lines. On the 3rd evening, as I stood at the sink rinsing a coffee mug, her phone buzzed on the counter. She didn't reach for it. She looked at me instead. "You can check it," she said quietly, "if you need to." "I don't need to," I said. "Needing proof makes me a jailer. I won't live like that." She nodded, eyes wet. "Okay." The mug clinked softly against the drying rack. Somewhere in the neighborhood, a dog barked twice and went quiet. I wiped my hands. "Claire," I said, "I don't know where we'll land. I don't know if this ends with us together or with us apart. I only know this. I won't be the man who ignores his own boundaries just to keep the peace. I won't be the man who accepts less than respect." She folded in on herself, a small motion that looked a lot like humility, or exhaustion. Maybe both. "I understand," she whispered. "I'll keep showing up, even if it's too late." I nodded once and stepped back, giving the boundary its space. That night, I lay awake in the guest room staring at the ceiling, counting the faint ticks of the hallway clock. 6 years of memories reshuffled themselves into unfamiliar order. Laughter still existed. So did anniversaries. So did Sunday mornings and long drives and private jokes. But they lived now beside the patio door and the red heel and the message that read, unforgettable. Morning came. The sky bled pale light over the blinds. I brewed coffee. I didn't make her a cup, and I didn't not make her a cup. I just made mine. She came downstairs slowly, a careful person in a careful house. She paused at the doorway. "Ethan," she said, "I'm going to call the counselor and add an extra session. I want to do individual work too. I should have done it a long time ago." "Good," I said. "Do it for you, not for me." "I will," she said, "but also for us, if there's still an us." I didn't answer that. There are sentences that only time can write. I went for a run and let my legs decide the route. Past the school, past the park, past the coffee shop where Lauren had told me the one thing I hadn't wanted to hear. When I got back, I stood on the porch and watched the street for a long time. The mail truck rumbling away, a kid wobbling by on a too-big bike, the ordinary choreography of a day that didn't know my life had split on a hinge. Inside, Claire had left the counselor's card on the table, a fresh appointment inked on the back. Beneath it, 2 words in her handwriting. "I'm trying." I stared at them. 2 words aren't a guarantee. They aren't absolution. They aren't enough, not by themselves. But they're also not nothing. I picked up my keys for the day's errands, slid the card into the drawer, and stepped toward whatever came next. Not to forget, not to pretend, but to live with my eyes open. The terms were clear. Honesty, effort, space. No shortcuts. No myths. If she did the work, maybe we'd build something new on top of what had broken. If she didn't, I'd know, and I'd leave with my self-respect intact. Either way, I would be okay. And this time, I wouldn't need proof from anyone's story but my own.